There is a point where wanting something stops helping you get it. You think about it when you wake up. You replay it before you sleep. You check your phone for the message. You refresh the email. You watch other people getting what you want and quietly wonder when your turn will come. You work harder, think harder, push harder, and eventually, without realizing it, the goal stops being something you pursue. It becomes something that controls you. Your peace depends on it. Your confidence depends on it. Your sense of progress depends on it. And this creates one of the strangest paradoxes in life. Sometimes the problem is not that you are doing too little. Sometimes you are gripping the outcome so tightly that you can no longer move intelligently. Think about something you desperately want right now. Maybe it is a person, a promotion, more money, recognition, a business that finally succeeds, an answer you have been waiting for, or simply proof that your life is moving in the right direction. Now imagine pursuing that same thing without needing it to validate you. You would still work for it. You would still care. You would still take action, but you would no longer hand it control over your emotional state. That distinction changes everything, because the person who needs an outcome becomes a servant to it. The person who can pursue it without being owned by it remains free. The Stoics understood this nearly 2,000 years ago. They built an entire philosophy around a brutal but liberating truth. Your responsibility is your action. The outcome belongs partly to the world, and until you learn the difference, you will spend enormous amounts of energy trying to command things that were never completely yours to command. By the end of this video, you will understand how to pursue what matters with intensity while remaining psychologically independent of the result. Not by becoming passive, not by pretending you do not care, but by learning one of the most difficult forms of strength, giving your best effort, and releasing your demand that life obey you. Chapter 1. The Trap of Chasing. Desperation changes the way you behave, and usually not for the better. Imagine sending someone an important message. 10 minutes pass. No response. At first, nothing happens. Then your mind begins working. Maybe they are ignoring me. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe they have changed their mind. You check again. Still nothing. Now something interesting has happened. The external situation has barely changed, but internally you have created an entire world. You begin interpreting silence, predicting rejection, preparing arguments for conversations that have not happened. Maybe you send another message, then another, and the behavior designed to reduce uncertainty actually creates more of it. This happens everywhere. A person desperate for approval begins performing instead of speaking honestly. Someone desperate for a relationship ignores warning signs because being alone feels worse than being mistreated. Someone desperate for professional success accepts every opportunity, works without boundaries, and eventually loses the judgment that made them effective. Someone obsessed with money begins making decisions from fear instead of strategy. The tighter the grip becomes, the less clearly the mind can see. Modern psychology gives us a useful way to understand this. When we perceive something as essential to our safety, identity, or worth, our attention narrows. The mind becomes hypersensitive to threat. We notice every sign that something might go wrong, and we begin optimizing not for wisdom, but for relief. That is dangerous, because relief asks, how can I stop feeling uncomfortable right now? Wisdom asks, what action actually serves me in the long run? Those are not always the same thing. Sometimes the strongest move is to wait. Sometimes it is to walk away. Sometimes it is to say no. Sometimes it is to tolerate uncertainty without trying to eliminate it. Desperation hates those options. Desperation wants immediate resolution. And that is why chasing can become self-defeating. You stop choosing your actions. Your fear chooses them for you. The Stoic alternative is not to stop wanting. It is to stop worshipping the result. Because ambition becomes dangerous when your identity gets attached to the scoreboard. You can pursue something with extraordinary intensity while still being able to say, "If this does not happen, I remain myself." That sentence contains more power than it appears to, because now you can think again. 2. Control what is yours. Epictetus began his teachings with a distinction so simple that people often underestimate it. Some things depend on us, others do not. Your judgments, your choices, your effort, your principles, your response. These belong to you. Other people's opinions, not entirely. Whether someone loves you, not entirely. Whether an employer hires you, not entirely. Whether the market rewards your business, not entirely. Whether your body remains healthy forever, not entirely. Whether tomorrow unfolds according to your plan, certainly not. This does not mean you have no influence. Influence and control are different things. You can prepare brilliantly for an interview and still not get the job. You can be a loving partner and still be left. You can build an excellent company and enter the market at the wrong moment. You can train your body, eat carefully, sleep well, and still encounter illness. The Stoic does not deny cause and effect. He simply refuses to confuse influence with sovereignty. Consider an archer. He chooses the bow. He trains his body. He studies distance. He controls his breathing. He aims carefully. Then he releases the arrow. At that moment, something changes. The quality of the shot was his responsibility, but the arrow has entered a world containing wind, movement, chance, and conditions beyond him. Should he aim? Absolutely. Should he train? Relentlessly. Should he demand that reality guarantee the target? No. This is the discipline most people skip. They want responsibility for their actions and ownership of the outcome. Life does not offer that contract, and much of our suffering comes from insisting that it should. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly returned to the idea that our task is to meet what happens with character and good judgment, not because outcomes are meaningless, but because character remains available even when outcomes disappear. You may lose money without losing discipline. You may lose status without losing dignity. You may lose someone's approval without losing your principles. You may lose an opportunity without losing your ability to create another. Once you understand this, setbacks become painful without becoming existential. You can say, "I did not get what I wanted," without turning it into, "I am worthless." Those are two completely different statements, and learning to separate them is one of the foundations of freedom. 3. The price of needing. There is nothing wrong with wanting love, nothing wrong with wanting money, nothing wrong with wanting respect, success, influence, security, or recognition. The problem begins when desire becomes psychological dependence, when "I want this" becomes "I need this to know that I matter." That shift is subtle, but expensive. Suppose you want someone to love you. Healthy desire says, "I value this person. I want to build something meaningful with them." Need says, "If they leave, it proves I wasn't enough." Now the relationship has changed. You are no longer simply loving another person. You are asking them to carry your self-worth. And that burden eventually enters your behavior. You become afraid to disagree, afraid to establish boundaries, afraid to reveal what you actually think. You start protecting the relationship by slowly abandoning yourself. The same thing happens with status. You want recognition for your work. Fine. But if recognition becomes proof that you are valuable, every person who succeeds before you becomes a threat. Someone else's victory feels like evidence of your failure. Money works the same way. Money is useful. It creates options, security, mobility, and freedom from certain kinds of pressure. But money cannot answer the question, am I enough? No amount can, because the mind that needs external proof will simply move the finish line. 10,000 becomes 100,000. 100,000 becomes 1 million. 1 million becomes 10. The number changes. The hunger survives. Seneca understood this problem well. He warned repeatedly about the danger of becoming dependent on fortune for our peace. And this is where Stoic ideas about voluntary discomfort become interesting. The Stoics sometimes deliberately practiced simplicity, not because poverty itself was virtuous, but because they wanted to test the fear beneath attachment. What happens if comfort disappears? What happens if the expensive meal becomes simple food? What happens if admiration becomes indifference? What happens if convenience disappears for a day? You discover something, you survive, and every time you deliberately experience less without collapsing, you teach your nervous system, I prefer comfort, but I do not belong to it. That is freedom. You can apply the same principle psychologically. Spend a day without checking whether someone replied. Publish something without constantly monitoring reactions. Say what you believe without immediately searching faces for approval. Let someone misunderstand you without rushing to correct their opinion. Not recklessly, not arrogantly. As training, you are teaching yourself that discomfort is survivable, and once you no longer need constant reassurance, something remarkable happens. You become much harder to control. 4. Detachment is not indifference. This is where people often misunderstand the idea. They hear, detach from outcomes, and imagine someone who no longer cares, someone emotionally numb, someone who says, whatever happens, happens, and uses philosophy as an excuse for laziness. That is not Stoic detachment. A surgeon should care deeply about the patient. A parent should care deeply about the child. An entrepreneur should care deeply about the company. A partner should care deeply about the relationship. But caring deeply does not require believing that you can command reality. Detachment means your commitment belongs to the action, not your identity to the outcome. Think of two athletes preparing for the same competition. Both train intensely, both want to win, both sacrifice. But one thinks, if I lose, everything I have done means nothing. The other thinks, I intend to win. I will prepare as seriously as I can. But no result can erase the person I became through the preparation. Who enters the competition with greater psychological freedom? The second athlete, not because he cares less, because fear has less leverage over him. This principle applies everywhere. You can love someone deeply without believing you own their future. You can build wealth without turning your bank account into a measurement of human worth. You can pursue excellence without requiring applause. You can defend your reputation without trying to control every opinion. You can make plans without demanding that tomorrow sign them. This is what mature ambition looks like. Strong effort, loose attachment. There is a beautiful tension there. You care enough to give everything, but you are strong enough to survive receiving something else. That is not indifference. That is emotional discipline. 5. Become, don't beg. There is a question that can completely change the way you pursue your goals. Instead of asking, how do I get this? Ask, who would I need to become to handle this well? Want a better career? Do not spend all your energy begging the world for an opportunity. Become more useful. Develop skills that are difficult to ignore. Communicate better. Build evidence of your ability. Create relationships before you need favors. Become someone prepared when opportunity appears. Want confidence? Stop waiting to feel confident. Keep promises to yourself. Do difficult things voluntarily. Speak when you would normally hide. Set a boundary when approval would be easier. Confidence is often not a feeling you discover. It is evidence you accumulate. Want a healthy relationship? Do not merely search for the right person. Become capable of participating in the right relationship. Learn to communicate. Learn to be alone. Learn what you will tolerate and what you will not. Learn to disagree without becoming cruel. Learn to care without becoming dependent. Otherwise, you may finally meet the person you wanted and still lack the emotional structure required to keep the relationship healthy. This is why becoming is more powerful than begging. Begging places your attention outside yourself. Becoming returns it to your jurisdiction. And there is another advantage. Even if the original goal changes, the growth remains. Imagine spending 2 years developing discipline, communication skills, emotional control, and professional competence for an opportunity that never arrives. Was the effort wasted? No. You still own what you became. This is one of the safest investments available to a human being. Outcomes can be taken. Development compounds. So when you catch yourself asking, when will life finally give me what I deserve? Replace the question. Ask, what can I build today that no rejection can take from me? Now you are dangerous in the best possible sense, because your progress no longer requires permission. 6. Trust without passivity. There is a lazy version of letting go that sounds profound but accomplishes nothing. I'll just trust the process. Fine. What process? If you have no process, you are not trusting. You are waiting. Stoic trust is active. It means doing what reason requires and refusing to demand guarantees before you begin. That distinction matters, because certainty is one of the most expensive things people chase. They want certainty before changing careers, certainty before starting the business, certainty before leaving the wrong relationship, certainty before having the difficult conversation, certainty before taking the risk. But life rarely gives certainty in advance. Usually, clarity arrives after movement. You gather information, you prepare, you calculate risk, then eventually you reach the edge of what analysis can provide, and you choose. This is where trust begins. Not, everything will work out exactly as I want, but, whatever happens, I trust myself to respond. That is a much stronger belief. The first requires reality to cooperate. The second requires character, and character is trainable. This is why Stoicism is fundamentally practical. You do not build courage by reading about courage forever. At some point, you have to enter the uncomfortable room. You do not develop resilience by eliminating uncertainty. You develop it by encountering uncertainty without surrendering your judgment. You do not become calm by arranging a life in which nothing goes wrong. You become calm by discovering that when things go wrong, you can still choose your next action. That is trust without passivity. Prepare carefully. Act decisively. Adjust intelligently. Then stop asking the future to reassure you. It cannot. 7. How to let go in real life. All of this sounds elegant when life is quiet. The real test begins when something hurts. So let's make it practical. Suppose a relationship ends. Your mind wants an explanation, then another explanation, then one final conversation, then maybe one more. You replay memories. You imagine what you could have said. You monitor their social media. You wonder whether they miss you. What is within your control? Your behavior now. Not their feelings, not whether they return, not whether they regret leaving, not whether they finally understand your perspective. Your practice is simple, but difficult. Stop using their behavior as information about your worth. Remove the unnecessary triggers. Allow grief without turning grief into pursuit. Take the energy you were spending monitoring them and return it to your own life. You are not pretending they never mattered. You are accepting that something can matter and still end. Now imagine you are waiting for an important answer. A job, a contract, an application. You have already done everything required, yet you check your inbox 20 times a day. Ask yourself, is there an action available right now? If yes, take it. If no, checking again is not action. It is anxiety wearing work clothes. Set a specific time to check, then return to your life. What about financial uncertainty? This is where vague fear becomes especially destructive. Your mind says, "I'm in trouble." Fine. Turn fear into numbers. How much money do you have? What are your essential expenses? What can be reduced? What income can be created? Who can you contact? What skill can you sell? What decision have you been avoiding? Fear thrives in fog. Action requires definition. You may not control the economy, but you can stop allowing an undefined catastrophe to live rent-free in your imagination. Career rejection. Give yourself permission to be disappointed. Then perform a review. Was there something you could improve? Improve it. Was the decision outside your control? Release it. Then send the next application. Make the next call. Build the next project. One rejection should not receive the authority to write your biography. What about feeling behind in life? This one is everywhere. Someone your age owns a house. Someone younger built a successful company. Someone you went to school with has the family, the body, the career, the lifestyle. And suddenly your own life looks smaller. Notice what happened. Nothing in your actual circumstances changed. You simply borrowed someone else's timeline and used it as a weapon against yourself. Return to your lane. What does progress mean for you? What action would improve your life today? Not your image, your life. Do that. And finally, what about other people's opinions? This may be the hardest attachment of all. You cannot build an independent life while holding a referendum on yourself every time someone looks at you. Some people will misunderstand you. Some will dislike you. Some will criticize your decisions. Some criticism will be useful. Listen to it. Some will be projection, preference, resentment, or noise. Let it pass. The goal is not to become immune to feedback. The goal is to stop treating every opinion as a command. Here is a practical exercise. Whenever you feel yourself gripping an outcome, divide a page into 2 columns. On the left, mine. On the right, not mine. Under mine, write everything you can actually choose. The phone call, the preparation, the apology, the boundary, the workout, the budget, the application, the next hour of focused work. Under not mine, write the rest. Their response, the final decision, the market, the past, the timing, other people's thoughts, tomorrow. Then make one agreement with yourself. I will spend my energy on the left column, and I will practice accepting the right. Do this often enough, and you begin to notice how much of your exhaustion came from fighting battles where you had no command. 8. The strength of a quiet mind. A quiet mind is not an empty mind. It is a mind that does not have to obey every alarm. That creates enormous advantages. You make better decisions because urgency no longer controls the clock. You become better in relationships because you can listen without preparing a defense. You become more confident because silence no longer feels like rejection. You negotiate better because you can walk away. You work better because your attention is not constantly checking whether the work has been rewarded yet. You recover faster because disappointment does not immediately become identity. And perhaps most importantly, you begin seeing reality more accurately. Attachment distorts perception. If you desperately need someone to be right for you, you overlook evidence that they are not. If you desperately need an investment to succeed, you dismiss warning signs. If you desperately need people to admire you, you become unable to hear criticism. If you desperately need your plan to work, you confuse persistence with stubbornness. Calm creates distance. Distance creates perspective. Perspective creates better choices. This is why composure is not merely an emotional virtue. It is a strategic advantage. The person who can remain still while everyone else is reacting has access to information that panic hides. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by uncertainty. Political conflict, war, disease, betrayal, death. Stoicism did not promise him that those things would disappear. It gave him a framework for remaining useful in their presence. That is the standard, not a life without storms, a mind that does not become the storm. And you can train this. Every time you delay an impulsive response, you train it. Every time you tolerate uncertainty for another hour without compulsively checking, you train it. Every time you choose a principle over applause, you train it. Every time you experience discomfort and discover you are still standing, you train it. Calm is not something you either have or do not have. It is capacity, and capacity grows through use. 9. Stop chasing, start living. Eventually, you reach a strange realization. Much of what you were chasing was never really the thing itself. You wanted what you thought it would make you feel. You wanted money because you imagined freedom. You wanted recognition because you imagined significance. You wanted the relationship because you imagined belonging. You wanted success because you imagined finally being able to respect yourself. But if freedom, significance, belonging, and self-respect exist entirely on the other side of an external result, then until that result arrives, you have sentenced yourself to psychological poverty. And even if it arrives, you will be terrified of losing it. There is another way. Build some of those qualities before the outcome. Practice freedom by controlling your attention. Practice significance by doing work you respect. Practice belonging by becoming honest enough to form real relationships. Practice self-respect by behaving in ways you can respect. Then pursue the external goal. Now you are approaching it from strength instead of starvation. You can want more without believing you are nothing without it. You can chase excellence without chasing approval. You can love without begging. You can compete without making defeat unbearable. You can plan for tomorrow without abandoning today. And you can finally say something that only a psychologically free person can say: I will give this everything I have, but I will not surrender myself to the result. Think again about the thing you chose at the beginning of this video. The person, the money, the opportunity, the answer, the future you desperately want. You do not have to stop wanting it, but ask yourself something harder. Can you pursue it without making it responsible for your happiness? Can you work for it without allowing it to determine your worth? Can you give your best effort and remain standing if life chooses another path? Because someday, one way or another, life will test that ability. Plans change, people leave, opportunities disappear, bodies age, status fades, fortunes move. Nothing external signs a permanent contract with us. And strangely, accepting that does not make life meaningless. It makes life more precious. You stop wasting today trying to secure tomorrow. You stop squeezing people because you are afraid they might leave. You stop postponing peace until every problem has been solved. You stop demanding certainty from a world that never promised it. And then something changes. Not necessarily outside you, inside you. Your hands open, your breathing slows, your judgment clears. You begin acting because the action is right, not because you are terrified of the alternative. You begin loving because you choose to love, not because you need another person to complete you. You begin working because excellence matters, not because applause determines your value. You begin living instead of constantly negotiating with the future. This is the paradox. When you stop chasing from fear, you do not become less ambitious. You become more effective because your energy is finally available for the only place where your power has ever existed: your next decision, your next action, your next response. That is where the Stoic places his strength, not in controlling the world, in becoming difficult for the world to control. The strongest person is not the person who always gets the outcome he wants. It is the person who can lose the outcome and still choose who he becomes next. Give your goals your effort. Give your relationships your presence. Give your work your discipline. Give uncertainty your courage. And give what you cannot control permission to exist without owning you. Stop chasing, start building. Start choosing, start living. And if you want to keep training your discipline, clarity, resilience, and self-mastery, subscribe to the Mental Gym. Because the strongest life begins with a mind that belongs to you. Until next time.